Here's our 3 key takeaways from our conversations with specialists.
Having things ready to go before they get there. And at a very basic level, as someone who also works as a specialist that goes into different schools, identify who is going to be greeting this specialist when they first arrive at the school, especially if it's their first time coming. Have the materials ready that they need. So that's a map of the school. Take them for a tour of their school. Where is their working space going to be? Where can they put their things? Where can they put their lunch? Here is a school timetable. This is where when the bells are. This is when things are happening. That's going to differ based on the classroom that you're in, but here's the basics. Here is my phone number if you need to get a hold of me, if there is an emergency. This is the staff contact list. You would be surprised at how many of these steps are just missing as a specialist that goes into schools, because everybody wants your attention and they miss these building blocks of making it where you can arrive and be efficient and get to work right away. And so having all of that ready to go. And then when that specialist arrives to your classroom in particular, I hope that you know that they're coming, because that sometimes is missed. We get that. So that communication of, I hope that they're coming, but then your version of getting ready to them is like a smaller version of that. Here is my classroom. Here are where the tools are. Let me give you a tour of how my classroom is set up. Here is a current classroom seating plan. Here are the children that I believe are on your caseload. Here's the why as to why they're on your caseload. That gives them that foundational knowledge. My first tip was like, just be ready for them to come. Treat them like a new employee. Onboard them into your classroom and into your school.
And one thing I'll just add with that is the piece around consent. So make sure the paperwork is set up, or if it's beyond that due to the requirements of their scope of practice, that they need to actually have conversations with the caregivers, that caregivers know those conversations are happening today around this time. Here's the phone numbers you need, et cetera, et cetera. So part of being ready is making sure that caregivers are aware that this is happening and they're ready for that conversation as well. One of the other things that came out, I think for me as a key takeaway, was that just because you're getting an OT or a PT or an SLP doesn't mean they all have the same areas of expertise. And while many of them are very well rounded in the conversations and the supports they can offer, every single one of them has some sort of like, my background is in X, maybe Y and Z, but there's a thing. And so being able to know that they have specific expertise that they can bring to the table is, I think, really important. And knowing that maybe the needs that you have are beyond what their specialty is. And that might mean that they're collaborating with other colleagues. It might mean that maybe someone else is going to come in to support you. But just because you get one doesn't mean you've gotten the same one. They're not cookie cutters. They are humans. And so while we invited, one of each of the specialists into our conversations, all very different.
Yeah. And the third thing that I pulled out is having those tier 1 strategies in place in your classroom for the most part before they come in. And I mean, tier 1 is also like this year-long thing, right? It's not like you just establish it on the first day and it exists. And but these are some of those things that we've talked about throughout this series around having your visuals, routines in place, those types of things, having your classroom organized, children know where things are, they know where to do the work, that type of thing, because your specialists are then there to support you with tier 2 and mostly tier 3. If you are a new teacher and you're not used to working with specialists in your classroom, it is okay to ask questions. Like, go to some of your seasoned teachers in the school, or set up a meeting with your administrator and say, hey, I'm under the understanding that I might have some specialists coming in to work with some of my children. What are the expectations? Who are they? Can I touch base with them before they even come in the building to make sure I'm prepared? Again, that might take you a total of an hour of your whole time. Put together an email, ask some questions. What is your scope of practice? What is your understanding of why you're coming and the children you're here to see? This is my understanding. Let's make sure we're on the same page, because then as soon as they're there in person and you get that opportunity to pick their brain, you want to be ready and prepared to make the best use of that time.